Corrupted items is the new Titanforging. Details and how it works. Now let's look into this. The recent PTR build has added a new stat called Corruption. This is likely a replacement to Titanforging that ENS Ghostus was teasing in his 8.3 preview. The Corruption stat grants you large benefits, but at a cost. Okay. In red, the amount of corruption stat on an item. In green, the benthic-like bonus that increases your strength in some way whenever you equip the item. So increases the amount of mastery you gain from all sources by 4%. This creates a risk-reward system that allows the highest itemable gear to be from the best content, but maintains a reason to continue to farm content in hopes for an upgrade. However, unlike Titanforging, you'll have to be careful about equipping too many corrupted items that, as a high corruption stat, will have some pretty negative effects. Well, wait a second. An amount of a corruption stat on an item. So does that mean that the item level doesn't... So the item level stays the same? I'm confused here. Because it says creates a risk-reward system which allows the highest itemable gear to be from the best content. That's good. Okay. Give me a second here. I'm going to look at the rest of these. Corrupted, okay, list of affixes. All right, we'll look at that afterwards. So, corrupted item bonuses. Let's look at the corrupted item bonuses. Your avoidance is increased by an amount equal to percentage of your haste. Haste you gain from all sources. Mastery you gain from all sources. Health regen continues during combat. Increases your leech. Healing received from all sources. Reduces damage taken from dots. Let's see. Your spells and abilities have a chance to grant you flash of clarity. Increasing cooldown of your last 3 spells by 2 seconds. Corruption stat. When you get a corrupted item, you'll get a certain amount of corruption stat whenever you equip it. Each positive affix appears to have a corruption value attached to it. So the better the positive affix, the more corruption you'll get. As your corruption stat increases, you'll gain additional negative effects at certain thresholds. In addition, for every level of corruption, the negative effects will continue to become worse and worse. When you get more corruption, your character also starts to look different. All right, let's go down here. When you equip first equip the corrupted piece, you'll start with the Grasping Tendrils debuff. Taking damage has a chance to slow your movement for 5 seconds. The magnitude of the slow increases with further corruption. When you have more than 20 corruption, you gain the Corrupted Zone debuff. Your spells and abilities have a chance to create Corrupted Zone at your location, dealing shadow damage to you every 2 seconds. The size and damage of the Corrupted Zone increase with the higher corruption. Okay. So you have to move out of that. So you're basically... So you're pretty much creating your own mechanics. Like, I don't see how this is... This seems like something that if you're playing on, like... in, like, a raid, it seems like such a fucking headache to deal with. I'm thinking, like, what this would work with, or how this would make sense. Because, like, to me, it seems like this is it's not that great, man. Okay, let's see. The visual effect is... It's not about the visual effect. Nobody cares about the visual effect. People care about the debuff, right? So it depends on how much damage it does. And so the bigger the zone is, the more corruption you have, the bigger the zone is. When you have more than 40 corruption, you gain the Grand Delusions debuff. Taking damage has a chance to summon a thing from beyond, which pursues you for 10 seconds. Its speed increases with further corruption. Creeping Death. When you have more than 60 corruption, you gain the Creeping Death debuff. All damage taken is magnified and healing received is reduced, increasing with further corruption. Cleansing a corrupted item, but we don't know exactly how to do that yet. This will be very useful if you have a very good item that rolled too much corruption, but we found the following string. Cleansing this item will remove the following effects. Oh! So... how are you supposed to stand outside fire whenever you are the fire? Yeah, there is that. So, thinking about how the player base wanted more mechanics to deal with? Yeah, this is insane. Okay, let me look at the rest of this. Corruption reduction and corruption resistance. There appears to be a way to reduce your corruption and a new stat called corruption resistance. We don't exactly know what corruption resistance is or how it's obtained right now. The new essences also have the following line in their minor tooltip: unique corruption reduced by 10. It's a risk-reward thing. You get nice bonuses. Well, no, it's not a risk-reward thing. Here's what's going to happen, is you're basically just going to get whatever you need for your essences. And as soon as you have enough essences to where you can equip enough corruption items, I feel like it's not going to be a good idea to use any corrupted items unless you can completely remove the corruption. Because if you have something that'll slow your movement, that's terrible for raiding. Like if you accidentally just get yourself slowed, like imagine on like there's like a boss called Radiance of Ashara, and he does like a big AoE ability to everybody in the raid, and then also he summons tornadoes, and the tornadoes will basically kill you if you get hit by them, especially with the AoE ability. So imagine if you have this, and the AoE ability slows you, and then the tornado spawns, and you fucking die. This is so convoluted. Why can't they just trash it? Why does it always have to be something else? I don't know. See, I feel like here's what Blizzard should do, is they should make... Like, I'm okay if they keep some sort of, like, Titanforging in the game, as long as you can get it on your own, like, deterministically. Like, that's the only thing that I want. I just want to be able to work towards gear. Like, that's it. That's all I want. Just be able to work towards gear. Like, I don't want to play a slot machine for a piece of armor. It's annoying, right? A Vol Orb? I don't feel like this is the exact same as corrupted gear from PoE. I mean, corrupted gear from PoE, it's a little bit different, and you can also cleanse corrupted gear in PoE. And, you know, it's much more volatile than this, of course. So, put the item level upgrade system back from MOP. Yeah, you just add the item level upgrade system back into the game, and you remove the amount of, like, you do that, you remove bonus rolls from the game. You give people 1 bonus roll coin a week, right, rather than 2. They've already been cutting that down from 3 that it was at before. So that's all they need to do. Just, man, they say it's unique, so you can probably only have 1. Even though it's enough to keep you under turning threshold to negate the corrupted zone, it's more likely that you can reduce it and only have the grasping tendrils debuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you guys think they're making gearing too complicated? Like, this is, because I feel like they might be doing that, personally. That's kind of the way that it feels like to me, is that they might be making gear a little bit too complicated. What are your thoughts? Yeah? A little bit too complicated? Yeah, I mean, like, this is... OFTPS with no corrupted gear? Yeah, I mean... Alright, let me look at the rest of this. Cleansing a corrupted item. Corruption reduction. Okay, let me see here. Titanforging appears to be replaced by corrupted gear. Pieces of gear that can random roll to become corrupted. These pieces of gear will have benthic-like bonuses, but give you an amount of corruption stat that increases the number of side effects, and their potency as corruption increases. This is very RPG-like, and you're going to have to balance your corruption levels across your gear and weigh rewards versus the risks. Camera died? Wow, what a surprise. Okay, I don't know why my camera keeps dying. It was never doing this before, and now it's doing it all the time. Okay, there we go. Got wrong affix. Maybe wait next week. Yeah, exactly. Get a new corrupted item. You may need to equip an essence or remove another piece of corrupted gear. New fight. You may need to lower your corruption if you need to stack in certain places or there's high damage incoming. Alternatively, there may be encounters where you can have high levels of corruption safely. Man, it's just like... Such a bad idea, man. It just seems really complicated. And it also, like, another thing about it, it makes it to where, like, every single player can... Like, there's, like, a personal responsibility with every individual player now. So it's like you're always going to have, like, players dying and, you know, getting killed by their corruption stacks because people are going to try to do as much damage as possible. And it's like people that are, what do you call it? people that are always trying to... I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way to put this, okay? Wrong camera angle, it's weird. Well, too bad. It's just another way to force players to play the game as much as they can. Imagine doing a pug run with this. Yeah, it's like, because players always want to do the most DPS possible, right? In retail WoW, doing as much DPS as you can is really what matters the most. That's what people care about the most. And because of that, I'm trying to think of a way to put this. It's like people are going to take a lot of corruption on purpose, and they're going to handicap themselves, and it's going to overcomplicate the game for them. And I think it's just going to be really frustrating to play. Basically, they want you to farm essences to negate the corruption mechanic, but they're most likely going to time gate the essences anyway. Well, I think that, yeah, to an extent, that's probably what's going to happen, sure. Greedy is the word? Yeah, they're going to be greedy about it, of course. Someone at WoW has like, was like, no more Titanforging, but didn't like it, and the guy says, only beer, I can fuck this up even worse. No, this is better than Titanforging. Like, I really think that it is. Because it also, like, this doesn't affect item level. Like, I don't know why people are saying this is worse than Titanforging. I don't think that it's worse than Titanforging at all. Like, this seems substantially better than Titanforging. It's not. Well, here's why it's not. Here's why I think that it's better, okay? And read the other post too. Yeah, let's read the other one, okay? It's still RNG. Well, basically the same thing. No, it depends on like what the impact of this is. So, for example, I mean, like if you have, it depends on like the level that the corruption affects your character. And I think that's the main thing, is that the corruption affects your character in a big way, and you want to equip lower level. Here's the point. If you have to equip lower level gear with corruption stats, I figure that's probably the point where it's probably an issue. Like lower item level gear with corruption stats. That seems like a problem. But as long as the max level gear can only get the corruption stats, you can only equip that, then it will be okay. It will probably be okay. Okay, corrupted items. Now let's look at the other one, okay? I'll take a look at this and we'll see what they say about this, okay? At least it stops the inflation of item level. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let me see here. Corrupted stat ranges. From our testing, each positive affix on a corrupted item can roll one of 3 tiers. Each tier can roll a different range of corruption stats that will be applied to an item. If you find an item that falls outside these ranges, please let us know. Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. So in the new corrupted item system, not only do you have to hope for an item to be corrupted, but you also have to get it in the right positive affix, and you also have to hope for a low corruption stat roll in the tiers range on the item. Okay. Now that I'm seeing this, and there's all these other fucking levels of RNG associated with it, I'm not sure if I still feel comfortable saying that it's better than Titanforging. This seems really stupid. Like, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I think this just seems really stupid. It seems overly complex. So it doesn't affect item level? Yeah, that is one positive, that it doesn't affect item level. So there's a handful of positive affix types that can roll in corrupted items. Each positive affix can roll 3 values of X. Depending on the tier that has the positive affix rolls, it can roll a certain amount of corrupted stats. For example, a tier 1 positive affix will roll between 5 and 10 corruption. So it's like, when are you ever going to get all these items? Like, why is Blizzard so fixated on this idea of trying to make people farm out the same shit over and over? Like, this isn't going to make people want to keep playing the game. Like, I'm sorry, but it's not. They don't get it. They don't, like, this is, people don't want to do this. Like, they don't want to farm out the same item over and over and over to roll the right piece. That's why Classic's good. If I get Striker's Mark, I have Striker's Mark. If I have the Belt of Might, I have the Belt of Might. Period. It's done. And you know what? After I get that piece, I can upgrade that. Here's what they should fucking do. They should make more levels of fucking gearing rather than just making the last raid invalidate everything else before that. Maybe then everybody would be happy, and it wouldn't, not everybody, but more people would be happy, because that's why they keep playing Classic. They've been playing Classic so fucking much that 2 fucking months into the game, they're opening a new goddamn realm. They're opening a new fucking realm 2 months into the game where people said it was going to die in 2 weeks. Maybe, just maybe, people don't want to be put on an endless treadmill of contrived systems that are based off of randomly making them more powerful. This is so fucking stupid. Like, what the fuck is this? Now, I don't know if this is going to be worse. It depends on the impact of these, right? Because we don't really know the scale of, like, how this is supposed to work and everything. But the way it looks like to me, this doesn't seem very enjoyable to play with. Like, I think it just overcomplicates everything. Like, here's what it should be, okay? Just a minute. I'm gonna pull this up real quick, okay? This is a message I saw in my chat, and I liked it, so I kept it there because I thought it was just a really good, very very high quality post there. Okay, just give me a second here. Let me look and I'll see this here. Okay. All right. New. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look at what we've got going on here. All right, so here's what I think that they should do. So this is what they have now. So the item levels right now are 415, 430, and 445. That's it. Inside of this is 90%, or that's not a percent, but you know what I mean, right? It's upside down. 90% of the player base. This is the problem. Like 90% of the active player base. And obviously, like, yeah, there's going to be more people that are below this, but the majority of the player base are within this. And this is all with Eternal Palace. So this is all within Eternal Palace. This is what they should have done, okay? They should have had Old Deer, BOD, Eternal Palace. So in Old Deer, you'd have 340, 355, 370, and 385, right? So you've got this here. And then inside of BOD, you'd have, I think it was let's see, it would be 415, and then 400, and then I guess 385. Yeah, okay, yeah, this is it. 385 and then 370 for LFR, right? And then you go into Eternal Palace and you have, let's see, 445 and then 430 and then you have 415 and then 400. So this would be Old Deer. This would be BOD, Battle of Azeroth, and this would be Eternal Palace. So you'd have probably inside of this maybe 30% of the player base. And then inside of this, you'd have maybe 40% of the player base. And then inside of this, you'd have maybe 30% of the player base again. So what this would do is it would make it, and this is assuming they still have 4 difficulties, which I also think is cancerous as well. But let's assume, what does this fix? This fixes the problem of them needing to create these artificial fucking progression systems that make you do the same shit over and over. I would rather do the raid 4 different times than have to farm that same item 4 different ways. Because if I kill the raid on normal or mythic or whatever, at least I'm getting better gear. And the boss is a little bit different. But I don't want to farm out the same item. Whenever I get a reward, here's the worst thing for a fucking game, is for a player to feel like a reward is not a reward. Whenever I get an item in current WoW, and it's not like an Azerite piece or something like that, because Azerite, I think they did do the right thing and they made it to where it's, you know, it's like static in terms of it's itemable. Whenever I get a reward, it's that reward. But in Classic. But in BFA, if I get a reward, it's never what I wanted. It's never Max Titanforge. It never has a socket. And it never has the tertiary that I want on it, all at the same time. There's always something that it doesn't have. And that level of, oh, well, I almost got it. That level of, oh, well, I almost have what I wanted. That mentality and that type of gameplay is something that I don't like. Would you really want an LFR raid item to be equivalent of previous heroic tier? Well, no. Here, you know what I would do? I would do this. That's what I would do. If I wanted to solve it, I would do that right there. I would remove LFR and I would remove Mythic. I would make normal a little bit easier and I'd make heroic a little bit harder. And I would make the two different, halves of the raid to be it. This is what I would do. And we would have less item level progression and everything would be okay. So Wrath, yeah, basically like Wrath. I mean, in a perfect world, you want to get a real perfect world, I would do this. There would be one raid tier, and that would be it. But, you know, realistically, I think that 2 is what makes sense. You know, I can do that too. Yeah, exactly. That's classic. And so this is what it should be. Because this way, you always go into the new raid, you always get upgrades from the new raid, and you make some items in Uldir that are really good, right? You overpower some of the items, and that way there's still a reason to go back and do Uldir. Or you add a currency that drops out of Uldir, like Sanguo cells that you can use to, you know, buy different items, like badge gear they had in Burning Crusade, or, you know, profession gear that's actually meaningful outside of Uldir. And, you know, that way you get people to go back and do Uldir. Same way people used to go back and do Karazhan back in the day. And challenge mode raids with fixed item level, timers, and huge rewards? No. I don't like that. But how would Method take the long world first stream to make money, Asmon? Think about the kids. Well, listen. The world first stuff, it's silly. Like, it's just silly. Like, think about this. Should a boss realistically, in order for something to be fair, should a boss realistically take the best players in the entire world playing it for weeks, for over a week on end, right? Usually weeks on end, clearing the raid, playing 16 hours a day? That's too hard. It's just too hard. That's all there is. It's just simply too hard. Like, all of you guys that are saying, yes, it should be that hard, you never killed these bosses. Like, they're designing raid content for the top 100 players in the world. How does anybody think that makes any sense? It's insane to me. There should always be one raid, one version of bosses. Yeah. I mean, it's too hard. Like, they need to make the raids easier and then make the content better. Like, and if the raids were easier, I think Blizzard would have less of a focus on trying to create these, you know, like, super easy modes in the game. So this is Queen Ashara's strategy guide. All right, you ready? It's still going. Keep going. And then this is the heroic bonuses. There's mythic too. And then here's the actual specific tips just for your class that you have to know. And like, it's like, this is ridiculous. This This is ridiculous. Quick tips for 2 screens. Yeah, this is absolutely fucking ridiculous. This boss is way too overcomplicated. Blizzard needs to stop designing the game around people who play the game professionally. Magma Dar abilities, vanilla. Okay, so let's look at Magma Dar abilities. It's literally a blurb. It's like Google tells me. That's it. Has 2 signature abilities. Okay, here's all of Magmadar's abilities here. That's it. That's literally, this is the whole thing. Now, is Magmadar too easy? Yeah, probably is a little bit too easy. But this is too hard.